Why did Trump do this?
Oh, if I had the clear answer to that, I can't, obviously give you a solid answer in the sense of knowing what's going on in his head. What I can tell you is what has been going on in the structure of the situation and the choices he made that impacted that structure in a way that pushed him down this path. Didn't make it inevitable, but that really set him off on this trajectory. And that, I think, is that he started off with a very reasonable, workable red line: no weaponization, something that clearly the Iranian could agree to. They already did in the JCPOA. There's a space for compromise. There's a sliver on that Venn diagram that overlaps there. Halfway through, under pressure from Israel and the Netanyahu government, he shifted his red line to zero enrichment. And the Israelis knew very well that zero enrichment, that demand is completely unworkable. It would lead to a deadlock in the talks, which would frustrate Trump. And sure enough, it did. And then the Israelis moved in to really, really hammer home the point that they can unlock the situation if he just gives them some sort of a green light to take military action, which he did. And the Israelis also knew very well that the Israelis could not take out the nuclear program alone. So as a result, they would have to come back and ask for Trump to step in. And by that time, they calculated that he would be so deep into the issue that it would be increasingly difficult for him to say no. And in that sense, I think this is where the cleverness of their strategy comes in, which is they're not asking for everything at once. They're asking for small things that just sets off Trump in a direction that makes it more and more difficult for him to change the trajectory. And that's why I think we're here. Now, throughout all of this, Trump could have said no. He could have gone in a different direction. He does have agency. In fact, he has more agency than previous presidents, in my view. He has shown himself capable of saying no to the Israelis. What he has not shown himself to be that impressive in is to say no to the Israelis in a sustainable way, meaning that he actually says no and he sticks to it. Even when it comes to the ceasefire, for instance, it's much thanks to Trump that there was a ceasefire because of the pressure that they put on Netanyahu prior to taking office.
Ceasefire in Gaza.
Ceasefire in Gaza. But instead of sustaining that pressure and making sure that we got to phase 2 and phase 3, they essentially just kind of dropped it. And even though Witkoff about a week, 2 weeks before was really convinced that there would be a phase 2, but he was uncertain about phase 3, we didn't even get to phase 2. Because if you want to succeed there, you have to just sustain that pressure. And they've not shown the capability or determination to do that. And neither did Trump in this specific scenario. So after relentless pressure, from what I'm hearing from people inside the government, relentless pressure from the Israelis, he kept on caving in. But the key thing, the original sin, in my view, is to shift the diplomatic strategy from one that was workable to one that was designed to fail.
Why is the demand for no enrichment unworkable?
The Iranians will never say yes to that because from their standpoint, there's a whole set of different issues. The Shah had it. If they fail at what the Shah succeeded in, that will be a major blow to their legitimacy. But I think the bigger issue is this. If they say no to enrichment, they believe, and I think they're right, the next demand is you can't have any missiles. Then they're going to be faced with pressure on that and Security Council resolutions on that. And once they cave on that issue, there's going to be something else. This is not the core issue. The issue, though, is that if they cave on it, they just allow further pressure. And in fact, missiles, there's no agreement on missiles that the Iranians have signed. It's not like the NPT in which they actually have a legal commitment not to build nuclear weapons. Missiles was nevertheless included in the JCPOA in an indirect way or in a softer way, but it was nevertheless included, despite the fact there really wasn't a legal basis for them to do so. And we also see it. In fact, if I was in Israel right now, I would have been very upset if the war stopped here, mindful of the fact that the Iranian missiles have proven themselves to be very effective in wreaking mayhem in Israel. In many ways, probably far more dangerous than a nuclear program that has not been designed to build nuclear weapons. So I can fully understand that from the Israeli side, they would keep on pushing. But it's also precisely for that reason that there is no reason for the Iranians to cave in on that issue, because that would just increase the demands rather than decrease the demands.